Hey everyone, welcome to Solo Party. My name is Kane, and today I am playing Final Girl. This will be the first in my series of videos with Final Girl as I play through each of the killer's mini campaigns that is included with the lore and scenario book. The first killer we have today is Hans, and this is his first scenario, Night of the Pig. So let's check out setup and then we'll hop right in. So with these scenarios, they're going to give you all the instructions you need for setups for the game. So specifically, they're going to tell you which Dark Power and Finale cards you're going to use, which setup cards you're going to use. Where in a normal game, that's all going to be randomized. So we already know what these powers underneath here are going to be. So we can check those out ahead of time, kind of give us an idea of what we're going to be going up against later. Just know we have some nasty stuff coming up, so we can be prepared for that. And so we have our treasure hunt setup card at the top there. That's going to tell us where we place all of our victims, our final girl, and our killer pieces. We also have already shuffled our items it tells us to include. So as far as the lore with this one goes, with our camp counselor, he's actually a pacifist. So all of the weapons that are normally at Camp Happy Trails have been removed from those item decks. So we won't be seeing any revolvers or archery bows like we would see in a normal Camp Happy Trails scenario. It tells us which event cards we're going to be starting out with and all of the terror cards that we're going to be using in our terror deck. So we don't know the order those are going to appear. They're all shuffled together, but we do know what cards actually compose the terror deck. Whereas again, normally it's going to be a mixture of the Hans terror cards and the Camp Happy Trails terror cards. But I will show you the event cards that we started out with. So we have Stubborn Kids here. So normally we can bring 2 victims with us at a time as we're moving around the camp. Now we can only take 1 with us. These are some stubborn camp kids. We also, in this scenario, are starting out with our girlfriend from the lore, Lucy. So this tells us that the victim closest to you is now your girlfriend. We've already got that one marked with the white meeple down there. She will follow you into the killer's space, where normally most of the victims are not going to follow you into the killer's space. And while she is in your space, we roll +1 die for each horror roll. If the girlfriend dies while in your space, gain 5 horror. So we definitely want to rescue our girlfriend. 5 horror, basically, no matter what, is going to be devastating, even if we're at like 1. I mean, just going all the way to the other end of the spectrum, going from 3 die to 1 die, that's basically a no-no in this game. We got to make sure we save the girlfriend, but keep her around to use her as a resource for an extra horror roll, because using these die is basically the crux of the game, how we're getting our successes and what we're going to be doing with all of our action cards. All right, so we're pretty much ready to get started. We can go ahead and grab all of our 0-cost cards down here that we start out with. We'll take a look. We're playing Laurie through all of Hans's scenarios, actually. So we can see Laurie's different meeple saves. We can either lose a horror, gain 2 time, take an action card that costs 2 time. We can move 1 space, gain 2 time, or heal a wound here. And so we've already got the random final health tokens shuffled for Hans and for Laurie. All of our health tokens placed. Because Hans tells us up here, 4 horrors where we start on the track, so we know we're starting the game being able to use 2 die per action card. So let's explain that real quick. Just the main point of the game is that you're playing these action cards, and then based on your horror, you're rolling an amount of die, and the number of these star successes you get tells you what you're going to be doing with each card. For us, there's only one way to win the game, and that is just to defeat Hans. Get rid of all of his health, get down to that. When we flip that final health token, hopefully there is no more health on the other side, but they're randomized and there are 1 to 3, well, 0 health to 3 health as a possibility on the back of each of these tokens. So always hoping that Hans has 0 and we have those +3, because 5 to 12, you know, that's a pretty big difference. And Hans attacks a lot more often than we do. So kind of what we're really hoping for. So Laurie's ability, I guess I'll go ahead and flip and show, is so once we save those 6 victims, whenever we're in the same space as the enemy and inflict damage, we do an additional damage. So if we can rescue 6 people, we're going to have a lot more fighting power against Hans here. So definitely kind of want to focus on that right now while we can. Maybe use our girlfriends kind of like a little post here. We can jump off, get in there, get some walks or sprints out, hopefully get more successes to go rescue these people closer to Hans. Maybe even try to send Hans this way to rescue everyone on this side. I don't know. We'll kind of see how things go. But I do know I want to walk in there with my girlfriend. So walk is going to be our first action. So we're going to play that and take our 2 die for our horror roll and see what we get. Okay, so the faces of the die, I guess I can explain all these real quick. 1 and 2 are blank sides, no successes. 3 and 4 show these 2 card icons. This means you can take 2 cards from your hand, to discard to turn this into a star success. And then back here, always keep the ones on deck and star side for good luck. Those are just pure successes right there. So we know right now with our walk card, this tells us right now we have nothing. If we just do nothing, we have two choices here. We can either lose 2 time, or we can move up to 1 space, lose 1 health, and lose 2 time. So if we don't want to spend any more cards, we can still move while taking health, but I think while we can, we want to go ahead and lose those 2 cards, avoid having to lose 2 health, just move the 1 space and lose the 1 time. So I'm fine with not walking again this round, so I think I'll get rid of a walk, and we haven't lost any health, so let's hope we don't. Go ahead and get rid of a short rest as well, and that will put us right there in the space with Lucy, our girlfriend. Okay, and then now for our next action, kind of a basic part of this game is managing your horror levels over here, and we do that with focus cards here. You can see other cards down in the action row, like this distraction down here. A furious strike will even lower the horror a little bit. But basically, the lower it is, the more horror die we have to roll. The higher it is, the less. Simple as that. So if we get 2 successes here, we can even gain time instead of the normal losing time as an effect of playing actions. So let's go ahead and focus as well. And now, since we're in there with Lucy, we can grab one of our backups and roll 3. And awesome, that was the best possible roll. So we got our 2 successes for focus. So we go down on the horror track and we actually gain 2 time. I should have, lost that 1 time from walk. So we start at 6, go down to 5, gain 2 from this. Now we're back up to 7. Another huge part of this game is hand management. So I could play, obviously not the weak attack. You have to be in the space to do a melee attack with the killer. But I could play this focus again to try to get our horror roll, or our horror level down a little bit more. But if I roll like I did before, and I only get a 2 card symbol, I won't have enough in reserve to get a success. So it's kind of riskier unless I just roll really well again like I just did. But then also, all of these cards that I've just played are going to be unavailable next turn. And I'll only be able to get those back at the planning phase of the turn after that. So if I use the focus, and no matter what, I wouldn't be able to discard. So I would only be left with a weak attack, which basically does nothing, and whatever other cards I'm able to pick up during planning phase. I don't like having that few cards to work with, so I think I'm going to end my turn here with these 2 cards still in my hand. Okay, and so for our first planning phase, we do have 7 time up here to work with that we were able to gain through that. So let's see what all we can do down here. So again, I think we're really interested in trying to save some of these people. Our walks are not as good of movement cards as these sprints here, and they cost 2. So I think we definitely at least would like to get 1 sprint card, so we can go down to 5 time now. I mean, we could get some of these bigger cards, but they're just not as useful for us right now, kind of until later in the game. All these big hits, of course, like we need to be closer to the killer to be able to do those. Improvise and planning are all good, but I think we can just stick to the basics more or less right now. With 5, I think we go ahead and grab a search. So a search is what lets us interact with the item decks up top. So let's go ahead and look at the items and kind of see what we have to work with. So over at the cabins up north of us, we have a whistle. Spend a time to use the whistle once per action phase. When used, all victims adjacent to you will move to your space. Then all enemies target the final girl and move. As long as you have the whistle, 1 additional victim will follow you. Okay, so it has a little passive there that kind of negates the Stubborn Kids ability we drew from the event. Or, well, not that we drew, but we were told to use for part of setup. Then we also have the fireworks, which are over at the docks that are closer by us. So this is spend 2 time to place the fireworks token in your space or an adjacent space that is not the lake. Discard this card. Whenever the killer must choose a target, they will choose the fireworks instead. Discard the fireworks token when the killer enters the space where it is located. All right, so I mean, pretty typical distraction right there. Could be good to save some people if we're needing to get just those last couple people saved to get our final girl card flip to get that extra damage ability. And then up there in the utility shed farthest away from us, there is a bear trap. We can spend 2 time to place the bear trap token in your space. Again, not the lake. Discard this card. If the killer enters the space with the bear trap, discard the token, and immediately in the killer phase, the killer receives 2 damage. Well, there's already some combos out there. If we, for whatever reason, were able to get this bear trap and then fireworks distract him to walk into it, or even the whistle just blow like, hey, over here, lay that trap down. Boom, just 2 damage like that. That would be really nice. That's 1/6 of the health, and honestly, like any damage you can get on this guy any sort of way is it's going to be super helpful. So that's what we have to work with. Not really close to the utility shed, but fireworks or whistle, I could see those being useful. So we'll grab a search for now. So that's 2 more, so that'll put us down to 3. And then, you know, I talked about the importance of the horror rolls, so let's go ahead and get a distraction, actually. That will help us lure that, keep that manageable, and then we can almost just use our focus as like fodder cards to discard if we have such a strong distraction. We get it 3, and I mean, then even if we do get down to 1 with distraction, we'll be able to roll 4 die at a time with our girlfriend while she is still on the board. So that's pretty big. I don't think I've ever rolled 4 die in this game. And then the last thing we do is just any cards that we played then get put in their spots. So since we know we only played our 0 cost cards, they all just go back in this 0 cost action card slot, where when we go to the planning phase again next turn, we can just pick those up for free because they cost 0. So then after the planning phase, we go to the killer phase, and the first thing that happens is the killer performs its basic action here. So the basic action says that the killer is going to target the final girl or victim that is closest and then attack. So there's no movement involved. So we can see that the killer's just over here in this swampy little space, not really doing anything. So they're gonna pass on that attack, and then we can just draw our tarot card. So we pull the tarot card, and it is, okay, we got He Just Keeps Coming. So this says that we gain a horror on the track. All right, so we're gonna push that back up to 4 from 3, and then targeting the closest final girl or victim, they're gonna move and then deal damage. And so anytime you see a movement symbol or a damage symbol, we're actually gonna look over here at this track with Hans. And then all of those values are gonna be based on wherever the Bloodlust tracker is at. So all of our movements right now are moving Hans 1. All of our attacks are dealing 2 damage. Victims only need to take 1 damage to die. So the numbers there are more for when they're attacking the final girl. So we gained our horror. And then so again, we could send him this way to these guys over here, or up there to the utility shed. So ducks or utility shed. I think right now the best move for us might be to try to get Hans away so we can try to come in and swoop this side like I was talking about earlier. Don't know if that's the best plan, but that's what we're going to go with right now. So Hans is going to move 1 up here. Again, no one in the space to attack, so no damage dealt, and then we can just discard this tarot card. So then after the killer phase, there is a panic phase, but that's only going to happen if a victim was killed this turn and there's still a victim in the space with the killer, then they're going to flee. And so how we do that is we're going to take one of these die. I don't know if you can see them, they're kind of small, but each connecting line also has numbers associated with them. So when someone panics, you roll a die, whatever number you roll, and that's the direction that the victim is going to move. And then there's an upkeep phase, but again, nothing really for us to do. So we're just going to skip that and go into the action phase. All right, we got everything reset, ready to go. Let's go ahead and start off with a distraction. Try to go ahead and manage this horror track again, since it just went back up on that last terror turn. It'll probably do that a lot. So again, horror management is a pretty big deal. So we're getting the 2 from the level, and then again 1 from our girlfriend. Beautiful. That is 2 natural successes. So we don't even have to worry about the success with discarding 2 cards. And I mean, that's huge. We get to lower the horror track by 2 and gain 2 time. I mean, beautiful start. All right, and then the next thing I think we want to do is try to go save the campers over at the dock using this sprint card. Let's go ahead and try to get over there, see if we can't bring one back with us. So the max we can move with a sprint is 3 spaces if we get 2 successes. So that'll allow us to get over there, get someone halfway there in the middle. So I don't know if you can see them, but these little green spaces with the doors here, those are the exit spaces where we're trying to gather all of the victims to. Once you bring a victim into that space, they escape, and that's when you put one of them on your final card and gain that bonus ability. Okay, so we got 1 natural success, but we could discard 2 cards to go ahead and get up to 3. And honestly, I think that's really good, because what I just saw, there's the exit right here. We could just sprint straight past, save 1 person while Hans is going this direction. I mean, I think that's just the best possible play. I think we make that the last thing we do in our turn, keep 1 card. So these are our 0 cost cards. We're going to get them back. So we want to keep our search since that costs us time. So we'll go ahead and discard our focus and our weak attack in order to move up to 3 spaces and lose 1 time with that icon. So we're going to go, we're actually, since we can bring 1 with us, let's bring our girlfriend so she's a little closer to utilize our ability next turn. Bring everyone into the dock here, and then with my last move, I'll grab another victim and rescue them. And so now I can take this victim and I will put them on one of Laurie's abilities. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the move one space for free to go ahead and get back in the dock area with my girlfriend and this other victim. That sets me up for a search action next turn. Have a walk in here, so a pretty easy walk to save this next victim as well. More than likely, Hans is going to be targeting either of these groups up top near him. So I'm feeling pretty good about getting these first couple of people down here saved. Then it's kind of where do we go from there to make sure that more people don't die, because I don't see us saving these 3 people at the top at the moment. Everyone else still up in the air. All right, so heading into the planning phase, first thing we're going to do is get back all of our 0 cost cards here. And then we have 7 time to work with. So I think, again, movement is crucial here. I think we at least want to take another, nope, not the search, the sprint here. So that'll get us down to 5. Let's see. I think with as many cards as we have, maybe even an improvise could be good. So yeah, I think with this one, I think we want to do an improvise for 3. And then use our last 2. Let's pick up a couple close calls here. I was considering maybe a guard, but we're still at full health, so I don't think that's too big of an issue. I still think Hans is shooting up that way towards those other 3 victims. All right, so we went ahead and reset our time, put all of the cards back where they go in the action selection area, and then we go into the killer phase. So we start with the basic action again. Nobody in the same area, so we can skip that and go right into our first tarot card. Looks like for tarot cards, we're getting, all right, we're getting one of the minor dark powers. So these are basically upgrades for the killers. So this one is unholy speed. So now each boot symbol is going to let Hans move 1 additional space. And then if Hans had taken any damage, those 2 heart symbols, Hans would heal 2. But luckily, he hasn't taken any damage yet. So we're just going to stick this in the minor dark power area to remind us. And that's it for the killer phase. So nothing really for us to do for the panic phase or for the upkeep phase. So we're just going to head right into the next round with our action phase. Something that usually doesn't come up, but worth mentioning just because we are almost there. There's a hand limit of 10. We are currently at 9 though, so that's all right. All right, so I think right now our strategy is we really want to get these fireworks that are at the dock location. So we're going to go ahead and do our search card here. So that's what happens here with the various successes. So no matter what, we're going to get to take the top item, but various degrees of penalties alongside that. So we're rolling our 3 die because of our girlfriend and our horror level. Okay, wow. All right, that was only 1 success, but a 1 success on the search does let us take the top item on our space and lose 1 time. So we'll go down to 5, and now we have the fireworks. So whenever you acquire an item, you have the choice to either put it into your hands or your backpack slot. Different items can be used from different places. So this does look like to be one of the small items that we can't just use in our backpack, so no reason to let it take up a hand slot. We'll just keep it in the backpack for now. All right, so the next thing we want to do is try to save this other victim in this space with us. So we're going to go ahead and just do a regular walk action. Roll 3 die. Okay, we got at least 1 success there. I almost want to discard while we have so many cards here too for a walk, but you know, it's just a walk. We do also have a sprint we could save something like that for. So I think I will just accept the move 1 space, lose 1 time. So we'll do that, and then we will move here to save another victim. And I think this time we want to go ahead, let's get us some time back. I think that sounds good. So let's go ahead and put this here, gain back some time. Yeah, that feels really good. And then getting out of that space, I think we immediately just follow that up with a sprint. Now, we're not in the same space as our girlfriend, so we are going to go back down to just 2 die for the sprint action. So we'll put this aside. Okay, we did get 1 success with sprint though, so that is just lose 1 time and move up to 2 spaces. So we'll go ahead, collect our girl, and head on back. All right, let's keep this turn going. We've got our girlfriend back, so we're rolling 3 again. Let's go ahead and get another walk. Try to get to this other victim. Okay, 1 automatic success. I think at this point we do maybe want to go ahead and discard some. We're not losing any health, so I'm going to get rid of one short rest and one close call. And that'll get me one time to move 2 spaces. So we will collect. And now I gotta make the choice, do I wanna keep moving my girlfriend forward a little bit or go ahead and move the victim? And I think honestly at this time, let's go ahead and keep trying to get the victim out of here. We're almost getting to a point I'm considering dropping the fireworks back here. All right, so at this point, I think I am done for now, and I am going to go into the planning phase. So we're here with 4 right now. I think we definitely want to grab another sprint. That's kind of the name of the game right now, is just getting all of these victims to the exits, flipping Laurie over, and then going in for the attack. That's really what I'm trying to do right now. So 2 for the sprint, and basically we're either looking at either a search or a guard. I don't necessarily need either of those at the moment, I think. So probably just grabbing one to have for fodder. We are going to be going up toward the cabin soon, so maybe go ahead and prep a search just in case. There's the whistle up at the cabins, and that's going to help us get more people out, so maybe really help us get that last push to be able to get 2 people out in the exit real quick for Laurie to flip over. So yeah, I'll go ahead and take a search to use our last, and then we can reset up to 6. All right, and then we go into the killer phase, and so again, we know that we are not doing any basic actions because it doesn't move, and there's no one in the space to kill, so we'll go to the next tarot card. All right, so our tarot card pull is... Okay, he wants fresh blood. If there are no victims on the board, there are, so I'll ignore that text. We are targeting the closest victim, moving to, well, what would originally be 2, but because of unholy speed, +1 to all movements, that's move 4, and then attack 4. Again, our bloodlust tracker is still at the very bottom, so only 2, but all victims, again, only need 1 damage to be killed. So only 1 will die because of the attack symbol, but we have the choice of throwing him in the utility shed, which would then make him panic, which might not be bad because that would panic one of the victims out of that spot over here. So he would move in here, kill one of them, panic phase would happen, and hopefully on a 3 through a 6, they would be able to leave the shed. Just so we can go ahead and show off a panic phase, let's bring Hans over into the utility shed. Okay, and we're gonna have our first victim with the attack. So we'll toss them into dead. Whenever Hans kills the victim, the bloodlust track goes up by 1. So just going up by 1, all of the values stay the same here. So not too bad for just a single kill, but that is the end of the killer phase. So we go into the panic phase. And so we'll go ahead and take one of these and make a roll. Someone did die, and there is a victim in the space as the killer. So on a 3 through 6, we're going to move out of there. Okay, 3. So the victim does panic out of the utility shed. Got to get out of there. Just saw Hans come in there and just absolutely wreck his buddy. And then that brings us to the upkeep phase. Not really anything we're needing to do here. So that's actually going to do it for the first part of my playthrough of this Final Girl scenario, Night of the Pig. I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.